All right, guys, we'll get rolling. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about this coming week. Certainly another great challenge. So much respect for this Oklahoma team and program, and be a really great challenge for our football team to continue our growth process. And obviously, even from last week's game, a lot of real positive and some areas that weren't as good as we needed it to be or wanted it to be. But I think another great opportunity for this team to continue to grow ourselves forward. So with that said, Randy, go ahead.
What do you suspect Oklahoma's doing at quarterback? And if there's uncertainty, how does that affect your game planning?
Yeah, I really
don't.
I don't think much from ours. I think they're so similar, and you got to give Coach Riley a lot of credit. He does a great job in the development of those at that position group, and I think both of them extremely athletic, can make all the throws. I don't see offensively there being great changes in terms of what they do, when either quarterback's in the game. So, I think we've kind of just more put our thought process on ourselves, knowing that I don't think there's a great schematic difference between either quarterback in the game.
When we talked to Brock and Jake after the game on Saturday, they were pretty candid with their level of disappointment. I think your guys' track record of dealing with adversity speaks for itself. But is what they were talking about, disappointment this time of year, something different and that you have to approach differently or attack differently than any other type of adversity?
No, I really don't think so. At the end of the day, you either win or you lose, and then you gotta wake up the next day and you gotta move forward. And we're, as I've always told our kids, we'll be defined at the end of the season by who we are and what we've become. And so, I think every game, every day brings a new situation and challenge that you have to deal with. And, obviously disappointment is part of the business. And, you got to figure out the why. You got to figure out then how do you move forward from it and try to continue to pound away at some of the mistakes that we need to clean up to continue to be the best version of ourselves with great consistency. I think there's been a lot of great versions of ourselves. I think at times the consistency of that has probably been a hair off at times, and a hair off has gotten us into some challenging situations that we haven't been able to always overcome.
It looked like Will McDonald was in and out of the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
What's he dealing with, and how is he?
Yeah, just dealing with a strain early in the game, to his credit, was able to come back in the second half, did a great job. But I do think he's going to be fine, and was on the practice field for us yesterday. Yeah, it was more of a kind of a hip deal where, just got hit in almost like the funny bone of it. So, was able to work through and got himself back into the game.
How do you as a coach view goals? Because at the beginning of the season, your players, the goal was Big 12 championship.
Oh, not me. That was never my goal.
Okay.
My goal has always been one thing, and that's to become the best version of ourselves we can become. So you've never heard me say that word once. You've only heard me talk about becoming the best version of yourself you can be. And really my challenge for this year's team was to become the greatest together team in the history of Iowa State football. And so far, all of our goals are still intact from a Coach Campbell standpoint. Now, could our players have other goals and aspirations? Sure. Do I want them to have great goals and aspirations? Sure. But that's not Coach Campbell's goal. That was never said by me.
How have you evaluated your offensive line's play the last 2 weeks, specifically the run game piece of it?
Obviously, frustrating a little bit last week in terms of, the standard of what we would like to do. Texas, I thought our guys did some really good things, to be quite honest with you. You were up against a very unique challenge, and I would say you're also getting 2 weeks in a row where every person in the box that could be in the box is there. And so, I chuckle a little bit when people kind of come after the offensive line and that don't know football and don't realize that there's 9 guys standing in the box, trying to suffocate the running game. That doesn't take off that we can be better and need to be better, because there was times where we were not the standard of what we wanted on Saturday. But, I don't think it's some global perspective of, oh my goodness, we are so far off there. I think there were some things, and when the game had to change, we protected and did some things really well on the offensive line, I would say as well. So, you look at the rushing numbers, they're not to the standard that we want them to be. I think their style of game, how that game got to, what those guys did to get us back in the game, I thought was excellent. But there are some areas that we got to continue to shore up and clean up. I'd say inconsistent is probably the answer to the question that you're looking for.
When we talked to Bress after the Texas game, he said, at halftime you told him just, hey, stay patient. We know what you're capable of doing. I'm curious, what was that conversation like on Saturday? Obviously, like you said, the running game wasn't up to the standard.
Well, when you're down and you got to throw the ball, we're going to throw it to you. So you got to be a better football player in the pass game than the run game. And I would say some of the plays that he made in the passing game may be some of the greatest plays you'll ever witness at the history of Iowa State. So pretty impressive.
When you're talking 9 guys in the box, how do you guys in real time determine when, okay, we're going to have to just keep feeding Bress because obviously he's super talented versus, okay, now we need to pivot and try something else?
Well, I still think you can feed Bress, and that's my point on that. Like, Bress is what makes Bress really special is Bress doesn't just have to get the ball by getting that ball handed off to him. Bress can get the ball through the air. He can get it in some different situations. And, boy, I think our ability to adjust in that game was maybe one of the more positive things I came away with was, man, we kind of went in thinking we were going to be like this, and next thing you know, you're down fast. And it's like, shoot, you got to be able to readjust and put yourself back in the game to go win the football game. And I'll be honest with you, I give Coach Manning a lot of credit. I give our staff a lot of credit because you had to flip the script really fast. And, I give Brock a lot of credit too because I think he was able to kind of, really be in a great rhythm through the third and midway through the fourth quarter that kind of gave us that ability to get right back in the football game and almost had a chance to win it. But, that was a unique challenge for sure. And so I think Bress, you got to be able to get him the ball multiple ways, and it's not always going to have to be there. And you do have to be able to block 9 guys in the box at times too. So we've done that here. We've been able to do that well. We weren't as good as we needed to be at times on Saturday to do that.
What's that adjustment, I guess, process? Is that you and
That's me saying, listen, guys, it's a different ball game than what we planned for, and we gotta switch. And I think that kind of got said right after the third quarter right after the first 2 series of the third quarter, and said, listen to me, we're totally revamping how we're going about this. We're going to have to play fast. Brock, we're putting it in your hands. Tom, we're going to throw to open up the run game, and we got to play fast because we're up against time. And their ability to handle that, and that's where it's great to have a veteran quarterback. It's great where you have great consistency. I mean, literally, I think that adjustment gave us every opportunity to win the game at the end of the football game. So credit to those 2.
This may be a dumb question, and I just thought of it now, so it probably is. But
because I know it
This
could
is
go
like
anywhere.
thi-
Maybe I'll give a dumb answer.
no, this is like with all due respect,
Oh,
and
yeah,
what's
I
coming
got
out
you.
next is not
Yes.
good. Why don't you play fast all the time? Why don't teams play fast all the time? Because in this instance, the only team I watch hardly for the most part, when you play fast, things go well.
Occasionally, right? And so when you play fast and it doesn't go well,
Okay,
who do you put it at a disadvantage? You put your defense at a disadvantage. You put everybody in the all the other people at a disadvantage. I've been the guy that was the no huddle offense and coordinated that and coached that my entire life. So, I think what the challenges are is, and this, and this is where the smart question is, and the smart answer is, man, here's the deal. We have to play in great rhythm. Every game's got a different rhythm. You've heard me say that a million times. And you try to establish your rhythm early in the football game to get the game in the rhythm that you really feel like it's going to allow you to win the game. And sometimes that is playing fast from the get-go. And sometimes, it's, doing a great job of converting third downs and keeping the defense off the field and, all those kind of things. And so I think we're always trying to manipulate the game into our advantage, because we are who we are, and we know team football, and getting the game into our advantage is what has proven over the last 5 years to allow us to win the game. And so there is points and times where, fast and speed is good. There's also points and times when it's necessary. So, we were in a game Saturday where it was absolutely necessary.
Last Wednesday, when we talked to the coordinators, I'm going to paraphrase Manning, but I've got the gist of it right. He was talking about Chase, and he says to him, Chase is Iowa State football. What's he mean by that?
Yeah, well, I think, if there's ever going to be a salute to this era of football here at Iowa State, I think the pillar of that should be around Chase Allen. Nobody cares about this place more in terms of, boy, Chase had a multitude of different opportunities to go to a multitude of different schools that had far greater traditions and far greater success at the time. And, Chase has come here, and what he's overcome, what he does for our football team day in and day out, and whatever picture they put for Chase Allen, it should be the hurdle that he had last Saturday as the pitcher, because, man, that's him. He's always straining. He sacrificed his body. He sacrificed his eligibility. He sacrificed leaving for the NFL early. He sacrificed going to school X, Y, and Z to come here and make a difference. And to me, again, what's it mean to be a great Cyclone? I think it means to give more of yourself than you take from the program, and that is Chase Allen. So, we're beyond proud of him. Who he is really special, and who he is has made our program really special.
Matt, obviously Oklahoma's tough to beat, period, but especially at home. You guys go and get them in 2017 at Kyle's game. 2019, you had the big comeback. You almost get them. What's enabled you guys to handle that atmosphere and that stage there in Norman?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for us, it's just, we try to take every, this, Rob, like, man, we just try to take every game, one game at a time. We try to do everything in our power to give ourselves the best opportunity to win. And, what a consistent challenge it is going up against these Oklahoma teams. They're well coached. There's elite talent. They do things the right way on and off the field. And so it's a great challenge, for our teams anytime we go there. And, I think playing there is unique because it's such a special place to play with great tradition and great history. But, I think from our end, it's just, man, what are you trying to do to get off the field on third down and try to get one more first down? And I think that's how you feel when you got to play these guys, because, man, what you're going against is elite.
And always say the story's not finished until the season's finished. How would you reflect on the story so far? I think a couple weeks ago you talked about some maybe hidden struggles some guys have had. How would you just reflect on the story to this point?
Oh, I think it's powerful so far. Obviously there's all things, and I really haven't put much time in the reflection, but I think the greatest joy that I still take every day is, man, it's gut-wrenching to go into a locker room after a loss. When you see, they're down because they care, because they have left everything on the field. Now, was it perfect all the time? Maybe not. Was our detail perfect all the time? Maybe not. But what some of our guys are going through physically to just get themselves on the field on Saturday, what our guys are going through in terms of leadership and preparation through, man, hey, I maybe not getting the result that I exactly wanted, but I show up every day and I'm still the same guy, and I'm growing others around me. Man, that's what we've stood for. Again, we didn't stand for, what the outside world wants us to stand for. As I've said, I really don't care what the outside world wants us to stand for. We're going to care and stand for what we know it's going to take to be successful here over the long haul and with great consistency. And so, I think that's what I'm really proud of. And man, coming back even on Saturday or Sunday, Monday, boy, I've seen nothing short of exceptional. So I look forward to the challenge again in the week, and again, another great opportunity, another great challenge this week.
When you talked about A players getting A's and the grading system like in the past, but is that something that you guys apply to coaching or results as well, or is that something you kind of look back on after the season's over?
No, I think we're constantly in that. At least I know from my standpoint, I am with myself and our staff, and I think you're always trying to put your kids and our kids in a position to be successful. And I think you're always saying, boy, did we do that? Did we not do that? Do we have to make adjustments? How are we going about that process? And I think it always starts there, and I think it then goes into the evaluation of everything else. But I think from our end, it has always started with self-evaluation and self-reflection between myself, our coaching staff, and then trickles down to, man, where else can we help these guys be their best version of themselves?
To piggyback off of that, where have you seen maybe the biggest challenge for yourself coming out of these losses or wins over the season?
Yeah, I think staying the course of be who you say you are. I think it's easy to get caught up emotionally with, man, the disappointment of not getting a result, and yet man, I've sat here and preached this for the last 5 years of you'll get as your work deserves. And at the end of the day, our greatest journey here is we got to become the best version of us. And there's some unique dynamics that we're battling this year, which is awesome. And I think those are all opportunities of growth. And if you're willing to put your ego aside and grow from positive and negative, then, man, just at the end of the day, somewhere along the line, we're going to continue to be the best version of who we are and what we've got the ability to be. And, that's the great thing about this team. There's still time left for those things to continue to occur with the consistency that we'd like to see those things occur.
And then of your underclassmen, who would you say has maybe made some of the biggest strides this year in advancing their game?
Yeah, boy, I think it's a really good question. And, I when I look at a guy like Trevor Downing, I would say, I know the O-line's taken a little bit of heat, so forgive me. But he's played as exceptional as any offensive lineman that I have seen. His grade out for an offensive lineman has been the highest grade out with consistency that I've seen in the last 5 weeks. I think he's playing remarkable football right now. You look at Jalen Knoll, man, the growth this young freshman made from where he was in week 1 to who this guy is. And this is a freshman football player stepping on the field now and making big plays and big moments for us. I think those are really positive. Those are two guys I would say on offense. And, I think behind the scenes, Hunter Deckers and the growth that he continues to make and not getting the results. There's another guy, man, you're not getting the results you want. You want to be on the field playing. And, can you keep pounding away? So we're all dealing with those things. And then on the defensive side, I think Isaiah Lee, his growth from where he was at the start of the season to where he is now, again, I'd say the last 4 weeks that he's played, boy, he's been nothing short of remarkable. Bo Freiler's a young guy that has been, just a special young freshman that stepped in and done some great things. And so I guess off the top of my head, those would be the guys that I would single out. But those are young guys that, boy, they have the it factor that some of our great older players have certainly played the game with.
Last week you talked about Charlie's intensity and his will to win. Given that he's from Norman, he grew up in the shadow of this university. Have you noticed that maybe in a week like this, his intensity goes up? You see that, he's going home to his friends and family, and this is a game that means a little more to him.
Yeah, I know it means a lot for Charlie to go home and play in front of friends and family. It would for anybody. But I think if, and this isn't a snide remark, this is, man, if you watch the second half of the game last week, and you want to see competitive excellence, and you want to see what it looks like, and you want to see, giving everything you got for the betterment of the team, I think that's Charlie. And so I think that's what I love about Charlie. He doesn't need emotional attachment. And again, I think some of those emotional moments, those are areas we're still trying to find consistency as a team. Chuck is a guy that lives it every day. And I think that's why he's such a special player. And I think that's why, obviously for him, he's one of the elite players at his position in college football right now.
You said there was some unique challenges that this team is battling that were awesome. Are you talking about expectations there?
Oh, I'm really not. No, I think there's some things just, man, internally that I think, at the end we'll talk about. But, I think just the physical guts of our kids, I think the will to keep swinging and what some of them have battled through to get to where they're at right now, I think has been really impressive. And so I think I'm probably more talking about that than anything else.
If we knew the true extent of your injury situation, which I get,
Sure.
how would we react? What would we say, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is, intriguing, and a lot of it has certainly been challenging, and a lot of it has been warrior effort, and that's probably the greatest extent that I can go with that one. But I think the fact of it is, man, there's been a lot of guys that have put it on the line for the betterment of this school and this football team.
All right, Coach, thanks.
All right, guys.